Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October Community Update. A little brisk out there this morning, right? Welcome to fall. We've got a packed agenda, as always, so we'll run through it as quickly as possible. A couple admin remarks. As always, thank you to the Red Cross for providing coffee. Don't forget to visit the service providers that are over here to my right. They have good information, and also there's a sign-in roster going around, so please make sure you update the roster. That's how we get information out to you. There are these blue and gray forms on your table. This is feedback. Please fill those out. Leave them on the table. We will collect them at the end. And with that, I will turn it over to Colonel Lucas.
Thanks, Alicia, and welcome everybody to the community update. Glad to see you all here, and kind of supporting our effort to move the community update around the installation. So if you haven't been over here before or this side of the installation, spend some time. Spend some money in the MWR spot. Just kidding. So again, welcome. Before we get started, I just wanted to offer either to the Corps or to the wing leadership any opening comments. Okay, Erin, you're.
The vice for the airlift wing. It's great to see you over at McChord Field. We're very happy to host. I wanted just to mention we are really busy from Team McChord, give you kind of an idea of some things that are going on. First thing is, anybody remember the aircraft that got stolen out of SeaTac a couple months ago? So if you remember that event, that was an exciting night here, not just for the installation, but also on McChord Field. The Western Air Defense Sector, for example, was responsible for tracking that aircraft. Scrambling fighters to follow it. I don't know if any of you guys saw that happen. And they also tried to get that aircraft to land here at McChord Field. So just an example of the kind of things that happen here at McChord, and with WADS in particular, the kind of mission set that they have going on. The airlift wings, we're also very busy. We've got presidential movement still right now. We've just started our deep freeze mission down to Antarctica, and we also have working our nuclear mission right now, which of course is our #1 priority over here. So we are busy. I also wanted to say thanks to you, Colonel Lucas, for the Brown Water Town Hall and also the lead town halls. Really appreciate your team tackling those and getting some good information out. And that's all we have from Team McChord.
Thank you. So before, like Alicia said, we do have a lot of things to cover, but before we do that, I want to start like we've been doing lately with some recognition. And we've tried to rotate that recognition between recognizing a soldier, recognizing an airman, and then also sometimes a civilian. So, and for me, this time I said, hey, I want to recognize one of my folks, and someone who really has made an impact on the installation in the work that they've done. So, Frank Wynn, would you mind coming up? Mark, you too. So, and again, I feel like a lot of times I don't do enough of this, where I bring up an MCOM, a Garrison employee, and in front of all of you and say thanks for the hard work. And Frank is not just working on one thing; he's a project engineer on quite a few things. And I'll let Mark, I'll let you talk about a couple of those that might be familiar to some of you out here in the audience.
Hi, Mark Holt from Director of Public Works. Frank Wynn is one of our project engineers. About a year ago, he got the signs erected that are at each of the gates on the outbound. He did that in sort of a record amount of time to meet Corps Commander's intent. Since then, he's been heavily involved with refresh at Building 2025, getting the new lettering on it, getting the sidewalk with the emblem in front of it, and inside the building, he's made improvements to the flooring and to the cabinetry and to the lighting as you walk into the building, and then also he's working on the Hall of Heroes there. Frank's also been involved with the beautification of the Fort Lewis Cemetery. He had the project out there recently that actually brought in a very heavy crane to hold the trees upright while they were cut and removed from their stumps so they didn't damage any of the graves, and now he's got a project going back in there to take those stumps down to the ground and make it level, and eventually we'll be dressing up the headstones to make it as close to the Arlington National Cemetery standard as we can make it. Frank also got involved with the OP10 project for triple nickel, which is another First Corps priority to get that range opened up for a battalion live fire exercise. Frank did all the coordination through DPW to get the project approval finished up on that. And, Ghost Inn. So last minute requirement to get Ghost Inn back up and running and get it painted inside. Frank got that contract awarded like a week ago, and they're in there painting now. So we're going to go over and take a look at it after this. But Frank's been just kind of a jack of all trades, or kind of our Swiss Army super knife. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Mark, for doing that. And Frank, thank you for everything you're doing for the installation. We're not going to make you give a speech, right? I've got a couple of kind of hot topics I want to cover in the front, so I'll let Mr. James have the mic first. Hopefully that's all right. And then we'll walk you through a couple of the big things.
I'm Buck James. I'm the director of DPTMS. Always an undeserved pleasure to be here with you this morning. You can see the key events. They're in your packet. Again, want to highlight to you personal shred days each month. Again, that's still a great program. Please continue to protect your PII information at home. Bring your boxes in. Russ and his team will get them shredded. It's a great opportunity to continue to protect yourself, your own operational security at home. A lot of other stuff going on. The Ministry of Fun will be talking about it. I do want to highlight a very important point. So many of you have probably heard Mr. Fuller telling stories about catching fish lately. He did catch those fish while he was standing at the Nisqually hatchery, and they threw them to him. So that's an annual. You got to watch, Mike. And a lot of times he and Gordy will tell you they caught a fish this big. All right. So be careful. Next slide. Okay, so one of the most, Solo Point. The access to Solo Point was limited starting on the 1st of October. Process has been working really well. Those personnel who have been getting access down there for recreation during the hours, as you can see, hasn't been an issue. We're still continuing to see some unauthorized activity down there. We pulled a washing machine out of the water on last Thursday. So if anybody lost that, come see me. I'll get it back to you. But the process is working well. The reason I want to bring this up is, for those of you that haven't seen this, the link that's on there, this will take you to the 3-page brochure, give you all the information you need on access. Okay? I don't have to explain anybody in this room in uniform and really the group here how important it is for us to maintain our ability to do training and to maintain readiness for units and provide that. Here's a perfect example. I like to call it liquid hate, but I've received a tremendous amount of input about access this weekend. It's a 4-day weekend. We have a federal holiday on Monday, and there are several areas that are not open for access. And even as strange as it sounds, on a 4-day weekend, Columbus Day on Monday, we have units in the field. Okay, Warfighter 19-1 is on right now, and we have a fairly large footprint of troops that are in the field over this weekend. I tell you that just to give you perspective, but more importantly, if you'll use this information to your advantage, you can see what is available, and you can still execute your recreation. But I'm asking for your help. Get the word out so folks can access the tremendous opportunities that are here on the installation, but we have to balance that with our training requirements, because the base never closes, as you heard the wing talk about. We have airmen right now that are executing national strategic priority missions. And as many of you in this room already know, we have soldiers downrange in harm's way. Okay, so every single day there are folks here and they're working and they're executing on maintaining sustained readiness. So I would just appreciate your patience. We will give you as much information as we can. I know there's a lot of hunters that want access to some of those prime areas. We have to balance that, because a lot of those prime areas are also outstanding areas for folks to set up command posts, because they have excellent lines of communication. So, I just want to be fully transparent with you. Wherever we can, we'll get that stuff open. And if it's available, it'll be made available for you to execute whatever recreation that you enjoy. Any questions on this? Okay, I appreciate that, ma'am.
I'm good. Yeah. So I just want to take a minute to let you know that we had a great announcement last think it was last week, regarding a project that we're doing here on JBLM, a partnership with the Children's Museum of Tacoma. So many of you that have been around kind of that downtown area of JBLM, Maine, the old skating rinks there. I mean, from the day I got here, I was sort of like, what's going on with that thing? I know there's some roller skaters out there who really want to get back in there. But what we're doing is converting that space into kind of two purposes. One will be a children's museum. We'll call it it's basically the Children's Museum of Tacoma, the annex right here on the installation. A really wonderful project focused on military kids and a great opportunity. But we're also going to move the CYS Parent Central into that building as well. So you'll see that happening during the time that you're here. There'll be opportunities to participate through your families, through focus groups and things like that. So we'll kind of keep you posted in this forum on things as they develop. What the Garrison is doing, what the installation is doing, is preparing that facility to receive kind of the guts of it, which will come from the museum. So we'll create the space and the museum through a lot of great partnerships and donations. We'll create about 12 different playscapes for kids. It's focused on little small ones up to, we're trying to include some things for tweens. The other thing that will happen, and the reason I want to make sure we're talking about it is it's going to create some great space for FRG meetings, for unit type events that will be available for you guys in the evenings as well. So really neat project that's coming. Really appreciate the senior leadership support and the support of our spouses as we make sure that we get it as close to our needs here. And it's the first one of these projects that's ever been done on a DoD installation, so we're kind of breaking new ground here with this partnership, and we're really excited to bring it here for all of you. Next slide. Just a little bit on Halloween, so I wanted to make sure we covered it here, even though to me it feels like Halloween is like a long way off. So we will celebrate Halloween or conduct Halloween here on JBLM on the 31st. That's a Wednesday, it's during the week, so trick-or-treating will happen from 6 to 8 p.m. We, as an installation, will do a lot of things to make sure that we're ready to make that as safe as possible. And I remember last year kind of confusion, people asking kind of basic questions about, do we move it to the weekend? What do we do here? So I just want to make sure we're really clear. It goes from the hours of 6 to 8 p.m. DES will get out and about in all of the neighborhoods to make sure that we're kind of on foot and in vehicles making things safe for kids. Some kind of rules about if you want to participate and what you don't. So I want to make sure you got that here today and you can communicate it to your units. The other thing is if you have a unit, I know some units like to do haunted houses. If you want to do a haunted house, there is a requirement to get a permit to do that from the fire prevention office inside a DES. So make sure you communicate that as well, because I know those are great opportunities down at the company, battalion, squadron level to do those kinds of things. So please do that the right way and we'll support you on it. I think you need that permit 15 days out. That information is on the JBLM Facebook page. So if you could help me communicate that, I'd appreciate it. Next slide. Just a quick, I've kind of been hammering this as many opportunities as I can to let everybody know that the rail, the high-speed rail is starting back up again. You should have seen some of the testing on the tracks. They're working to make sure that they have the positive train control systems fully operational so that we don't have another incident like we had last fall. So just please be aware that those trains are moving at 79 miles per hour. When you get stopped at the light, it's a pretty quick movement. It shouldn't slow. We don't expect the traffic impact. What we're most worried about is communicating to everybody that the biggest one is don't try to beat that train. As the barriers come down, don't even think about it because there won't be enough time. You'll see WashDOT and the Amtrak have they've painted all the new lines. You'll see new signs out there, yellow all over the tracks, but please, in safety briefs and those kind of things, please help communicate that this is not this is not a if, this is when these trains start back up again, that we're as aware as we possibly can about the risks associated with that. Next slide. I wanted to just highlight that we've been working on It's actually, I love this story. We're working on 24/7 access to a couple of the new gyms. This is a best practice that the Air Force had been doing that we kind of grabbed a hold of and said, hey, maybe we can expand this to more gyms on the installation. So we love to do this on JBLM. We sort of steal the best practice from whichever service has it and we run with it. So that's what we've done here, is opened the McVeigh and Wilson Fitness Centers to 24/7 access. Right now it's focused on DOD or CAC card holders, so active duty service members and other CAC card holders on the installation. You have to register at the facility to be able to do it. But spreading the word on that, this is really, it's going great. You can see that we've had a pretty good usage in both McVeigh and Wilson so far, and the little violation is not to highlight, it's just to highlight that we're really seeing very little concerns with what we're doing there for 24/7 access. So please help, again, spread the word on that, and we're really hopeful that this continues to expand opportunity for service members. Next slide. Okay, before I pass to Madigan, I just covered a lot of material, and those are kind of the ones that I wanted to make sure I foot stomped, so I just want to see if you had a question in your mind right now before we move on to the rest of the volume that we're going to cover. All right. Tom, over to you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Sir, team, service members, dependents, family members, how are you doing? My name is Tom Bunt. I'm the commander of Madigan Army Medical Center, and I have some updates for you that hopefully be helpful for you and to spread throughout your formations and to the families as well. So there's a lot of important things coming up. Next slide, please. We have some special breast cancer awareness activities. Basically, we have an imaging center here that is one of two. There's one in Tacoma, and there's one at Madigan, and there's only 3 in the Army that are centers of excellence. These are awesome activities, the best credentials that we have available, and they need to see those folks that are at risk or regular updates that they are due, because this is one of those top killers, unfortunately, of young women. And so we have a lot of events coming up that hopefully you're seeing advertisements come across the installation, and this is one of them. If you get in early, call the number, get an appointment. We'll make sure we get slotted. If we need extra, we'll work with the clinics. Next slide, please. Everybody's waiting patiently for the flu vaccine. There is, so we're getting a no over here. Nobody wants a flu vaccine on this side of the room. We need herd immunity, folks. We need herd immunity. Flu vaccines, in terms of inventory, is a bit low. The resources are a bit constrained. The priority for these are listed above, right, for active duty service members, dependents, retirees, and the like. We're hoping to actually get some vaccine before the end of this month. That's the hope course of action, because we want to make sure it's available for some folks coming in for appointments who might not otherwise make some of these dates, but these are our timelines. We're planning on doing a pretty big drive. We'll have some popcorn machine going and things like that in the mall, so it'll make it accommodating for those who are coming in so that we can get the lines moving through. If you need to get vaccine and you want to get it right away, there's other opportunities to do so at no cost. You can check this website, but they're participating network pharmacies, Walgreens, Rite Aid, I believe Walmart, and Safeway. Is that right, team? Okay, I think I got all of them down. Depending on where you go, they kind of switch. But those are ways to get it where you don't have to sign, you don't have to pay an admin fee. If that does happen in any one instance, we need to know about it so we can kind of rectify that with the contractor, because it's a no-fee option to get a flu shot. Next slide, please. School-based health systems, who is all tracking this? Anybody aware of this, that we have this going on? Good, we got a couple, good. That means your kids are unhappy. All right, so school-based health system. Everybody loves this except the kids, right? So no longer are they taking the day off from school, lunch with mom and dad, shopping pre-Black Thursday, that sort of thing. That's all a thing of the past based on all these schools. Well, I think we'll have 11 by the time we're done. We've got 10 now. We just did Bethel a few weeks ago. And what it is basically it's a nurse practitioner and like a nurse aide or an assistant that goes around on certain days of the week for scheduled appointments at the school. This is a very generous program. I'm not talking just simply from Madigan, but it's really generous from the school because they're giving us a place to work to do this, and they're doing it for nothing, right? So they're basically saying we want to see the kids, the adolescents primarily, stay in school not a problem. We'll come to you. We can do school physicals, immunizations, acute care type of stuff, the cold and floozy, and if you need a referral, we can do it right out of that too, so they can do a follow-on appointment. I already have it in the system. I'm glad it's now and not when I was in school, I'll tell you that, because a little truancy wasn't bad for me, but this actually limits that down to a reasonable amount. It maintains readiness by keeping people from having to leave their work to take their kids for appointments, right? That's the other foot stomp piece. And it's hugely popular with the community because we're supporting what we need to be doing, and our kids are definitely benefiting from it. Next slide, please. Living beyond pain. Some of you might all heard that there's a little bit of an opioid epidemic, right? This is something we really need to get to the left of because it's really tearing into the fiber of the nation. So to try to get after this, we're talking about pain management, and some chronic pain management, that is. And oftentimes you hear the saying, a little pain's probably not bad than an addiction to an opioid that is much worse and harder to get through. So we have a group that actually meets every Thursday from 2 to 3:30 in the family medicine clinic area that talks about living with pain, decreasing pain, doing it naturally, non-surgical intervention, non-drug induced, that sort of thing. It's highly popular amongst folks. We got a lot of low back pain. We got a lot of folks who have other types of old injuries what they're trying to manage, and it's just a better way. If you're interested in that group, that's where it meets. That's the POC on the bottom. You give them a call or just show up at that time for that discussion, and I think you'll be very satisfied with what you're going to hear. Next slide, please. All right, some of you might know that we've got MHS Genesis. That is a bit of a challenge sometimes, and some of the challenge has been the patient portal. And the patient portal is basically the replacement for Relay Health, you know, the TRICARE Online old thing, now Relay Health, now patient portal. Well, to get on the patient portal without a CAC card requires a DS login, right? So you got to call this number, and if you're having trouble with the logins, or you can go online and try to get a login, the problem is it has to be updated every 90 days. That is very painful for folks. I understand that. That's been put up to the contractor several times, and we're seeing what we can do to change that. It's a contractual issue all the way at the top at acquisition level, so those things are a little difficult to change. But if you call that number, we can get you back in and linked up. Why is that important? People can get their medical records, their health reviews, their last appointment, and secure messaging on the patient portal, just like they could with Relay Health. So as this thing continues to evolve, at least their stuff will be in the system. I know it's cumbersome, but bear with us as we move ahead, because there's a lot of things on MHS Genesis that we're trying to get after, and a lot of the champions are coming here to Joint Base Lewis McChord to work with us, as well as our partners up at Navy Hospital Bremerton and Oak Harbor, because we're trying to figure this out for the rest of the Department of Defense. And I think with the right teams on the ground, we can do that. And this is one of the ways we're doing it, with the feedback we get from you. Next slide. And lastly, how many of y'all saw the pediatric town hall? Anybody see that? One. Okay, we probably need to work on that whole marketing campaign, because we're a bit in a drought, okay? If you are interested on pediatric healthcare needs, adolescent healthcare needs, this town hall had thousands of folks logging on. Somebody got the ingenious idea to put it on somehow the old Fort Lewis, they call it the Fort Lewis buy and sell page. There's like 10,000 people that manage that page. 10,000 people that are in there buying and shopping. Next thing you know, they're, oh, hold up, they got a pediatric town hall at Madigan. That's pretty awesome. So we linked in through shopping. So those of you who weren't shopping, it's unfortunate for you, because this was a great opportunity to hear some of the latest, greatest when it comes to health care of our kids, right? And getting at some of those kind of sensitive questions that you might not want to ask normally, but that's in a group setting, and it's fantastic. We got some of the best professional pediatricians in the country. We have the largest producer of developmental pediatrics in the country working out of Madigan. You really can't get any better than that, so I say please take advantage of it. It's outstanding. We've got a lot of what I would call millennial mediums for collecting information, right? Facebook, I think we got Twittersphere on there, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. It's kind of like an endless list. I have a very powerful PAO team to do a lot of work to try to get the messages out. So if we can think of other ways to market to you and you have any ideas for us, please let us know. We're more than happy to entertain that piece. And I will tell you, as a party note, and also for Colonel Lucas, where are you at? Thank you very much for your support of our programs, also trying to get to the left of many of our challenges. and also for the injects on the Halloween piece, because my kids are already preparing, all right? They've already got their PCI checklist laid out. They've already got what they're going to require on there, and they already got a couple apples set up by the door. And I had to correct them this morning. It's like it's actual pumpkins, but, you know, we can talk. We can talk. So anyway, any questions from the group? Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, so back again. Just want to make sure everybody's tracking. So the Climate Prediction Center has stated that they believe we're looking at a mild winter, bottom line, here in the Pacific Northwest. Now, I tell you that for those of you anybody been here long enough to have remembered Snowmageddon, Icemageddon in 2009? Yeah, guess what? Same forecast in 2009. Pacific Northwest has the most unpredictable weather in the United States. As you can see down at the bottom, that's no joke. The highest level recorded of snowfall on Earth takes place in the Cascades. It's a very, very strange area when it comes to weather. You know, mountain ranges, American Lake, Puget Sound, all of those temperature variants, all of those winds, the Fraser Gap, blah, blah, on and on and on and on. The truth here is that it's very, very difficult for us to predict with absolute accuracy in a timely manner of the conditions we're going to face. But we give it a good try. The Joint Base Operations Center does predictive analysis, always looking 11 to 12 hours forward, what our next operational period is. That information goes into a decision matrix. It includes everything from local school districts. What are they? Are they on 2-hour delays? Are they closed? The main arteries, both in and off, or in and out of the Joint Base. And honestly, we look at the whole South Puget Sound region. Now, for those of you that have been living here for a while, you know how wildly the local weather can vary. Give you a perfect example this morning. On the way over here, those of you that were on I-5 probably didn't run into a whole lot. Those of you that came across the Joint Base Connector, the visibility at the Logistics Center was 5 feet. Okay, the flaggers were actually out there with additional lights, and they had to fire up. We brought a DES patrol over to highlight the fact that there were flaggers there. It's insane. Okay, this morning in Olympia, 33 degrees, freezing fog. Up in Tacoma, on South Tacoma Way, 44 degrees, you know, blue skies, people coming in. It's very strange. So we do have microclimates even here on the Joint Base. You will see days where the McChord main gate is a skating rink. Road conditions are black. It'll be sunshine, 40 degrees over on Lewis North. So the reason I'm telling you that is, as we go through this, the Joint Base Operations Center runs this analysis every single day, again, in between 6 and 12-hour increments. That information is provided to the commanders. So as you've already heard, on any given day, the base never closes. It doesn't matter how bad the weather is. We still have to have the capability to support the airmen that work at WADS who protect 2/3 of the continental United States airspace. We have to have the capability to launch and receive aircraft for the primary nuclear airlift force, as well as supporting the POTUS. We have to be able to receive life flight and Nightingale flights and blood runs. This place is always working. So what I would ask you to do is please be cautious, or be aware of the fact that weather changes here very, very quickly. And that information will go to the chains of command at the Severe Weather Board, and then commanders will make decisions. You're going to hear a lot of times information that comes out about mission essential personnel. All of your units, the unit personnel in here, understand what that means. But for our spouses, our family members, and our civilians, what I can tell you is when weather advisories come out over the mass warning and notification system, whether that's ad hoc or Everbridge, you're always going to see a line at the bottom that says, please contact your supervisory or chain of command for your instructions. Okay? Because, again, those missions have to happen. Commanders make those decisions. I understand at other installations, they have the ability in very severe weather conditions to simply, quote, close the post or close the base. We don't have that option. Madigan runs a separate system. So those personnel at Madigan, very well briefed. They have an excellent system on what they are going to do to maintain that facility. But again, the information is available on what may or may not be open online. I would really ask you to do 2 things. 1, stay aware of it. Number 2, pay attention to road conditions. Black, red, amber means take caution. Here at Joint Base Lewis McChord, there is no automatic trigger that if road conditions are black, the post is closed or the base is closed. That doesn't happen. Like I said, we still operate. That is a warning to drivers to be careful. All right. So again, it's a little unpredictable. We're all hoping for a nice mild winter, but I can tell you, even having said that, the first dusting of snow has already hit the Cascades. That happened this morning, and you can pretty much expect. Yeah, I know. Colonel Lucas is waiting to ski, but you know that's good. Good snowpack in the mountains means hopefully less of a difficult fire season next spring. But I would tell you, don't get surprised. Don't get ambushed. Cayuse Pass, Chinook Pass will probably close here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, as they normally do. And then we'll only have Highway 12, which is White Pass, and of course Highway 90 that they'll be keeping open. So traveling across the mountains, things could become problematic. Keep an eye on it. Strongly recommend go ahead, start checking now. Vehicle tires, do you have your chains? Because if you're going to be in the mountains, you're going to be required to have chains. So we're moving into the period of time where the risk is a little higher. We just ask you, please be safe. And when you hear these warnings, 99% of the time, you're going to be your own best friend because you've done that work and you know what you're up against. So again, please be careful. Again, I hope you have great snow up in the mountains, but just be ready because it's hard to say what happens. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there not on the JBLM page or somewhere where everybody can check to see updates all the time? Because I know when you talk about information getting to commanders, it doesn't always get down to us.
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, the public affairs officer maintains that on all of the social media outlets, as well as the road conditions page and the home page for JBLM. Down at the lower left-hand corner, there's a cutout that talks about JBLM conditions. You can click on that. It has that information, and it's got a phone number. So even if the net's down, or because I understand that happens, you can call the JBLM road conditions line, and it will tell you what's going on. And that's updated about every 25 to 30 minutes when conditions are going. And again, from the unit standpoint, again, all of that will normally be mission focused. But what I would tell you is the JBLM Facebook page, the Twitter accounts, all of that stuff is pushed anytime there's a change in conditions. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Have a great winter. Be safe.
All right, good morning again. Alicia Grady, Director of Personnel and Family Readiness. Just want to put some resources out here for you about the voting assistance program. We do have a voting assistance officer here on the installation. They work out of Waller Hall. Mr. Scott Davis, he is available to come out to your units to assist with any type of voting activities that you want to conduct, but here's a lot of online resources for absentee voting, where you can send your ballots, those kind of things. And so please take advantage of that information and also of our voting assistance officer that we have available for you. Every year we participate in the National Make a Difference Day. Again, this year we're going to be assisting in restoration of the Prairie Oak Preserve. So this is just one big project that anybody can volunteer. If you want to volunteer for an hour, if you want to volunteer all day, that opportunity is available to you on October 27th, obviously from 10 to 2, but anytime in that time period you can help with restoration of this preserve. And then something else we also do, registration starts now, but the actual event is 1 through 20 November. This is our annual family treasure hunt. This is a great opportunity for you to go out and explore JBLM. There are things around the installation that we provide you a list and you have to go find them. It really is a treasure hunt. So if you're new to JBLM, this is a great opportunity for you to get out with your family and learn all the little nooks and crannies across this very large joint base. But also if you've been here for a while and you really don't get out and about across the installation, this is a great opportunity to do that and find all the cool things that we hide for you to collect and then bring them back. And of course there's prizes. So, a great incentive for you to participate in this with your family. And I will be followed by Steve.
Thanks, Alicia. I'm Steve Perno, Director of Public Works. I'm going to give you an update on construction of roads. This one goes through the end of November. This is the south end of Gray Army Airfield. It closes tomorrow, so if you work in the Banana Belt, as far as the Army 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Division roads, it closes tomorrow for 2 months. Next slide, please. This is on McChord. Building 100 is right there. This is Tuskegee Airmen Boulevard and Joe Jackson Boulevard. What we're going to do is we're going to reset the historic look with new trees. We are walking with Colonel Curran tomorrow so we can get a detail on that. Minimum road closures, but we will be taking some trees down and replanting new trees. Next slide, please. This is the Log Center. This is closed through probably 30 December. Talking to the contractor, they're hoping to get this done by early December to beat the weather. Next slide, please. Parking lot, this has been ongoing for quite some time. The one on the left-hand side, that will be completed by the end of this month. And the one on the far right-hand side, that will be completed by November. So those that work or go to Waller Hall, end is near on that one. Next slide, please. Crack sealant. What this does, we repair the potholes along the entire installation, and we put like tar out there to put in the cracks. This extends the life of the roads. Just some areas that shows this is the 1st Brigade area. Next slide, please. All over the historic area and parking lots, as well as some of the roads. Next slide. And this is the 1st Special Forces Group area. Next slide. Road construction starting in November. This is Westway across the street from the new Red Cross facility. That's the old Red Cross facility that will be closed down to the end of right before Christmas. That's an old concrete road the roots are popping up the concrete. So that'll be closed for about two months. Next slide. Change a little bit. I don't know if anybody knew, Mark had talked about it earlier about the Camp Lewis Cemetery. It's been here since 1917. Arlington National Cemetery has come. The intent for all cemeteries that are owned by DOD will be Arlington National Cemetery standards. We're almost there. Another year or two, and we will be there. Upcoming events, of course, Veterans Day. VFW will put out flags for every gravesite. The big one is Wreaths Across America. Those that have not heard of that before, it started in Arlington National Cemetery about 20 years ago. I was able to participate as a volunteer about 5-6 years ago. 300,000 wreaths, tens of thousands of people volunteer. We're much smaller here. We have 1,000 headstones. This is our 3rd annual. It'll be on 15 December at 9 o'clock. We already have 500 wreaths donated. So there's a little card on your table. If you want to participate, you can donate on this website. You can also come on that day. Last year we had 500 volunteers putting on wreaths. We have grave sites from 1917 to 2018. So if you want to participate, please honor those veterans and family members that serve our country in the past. Next slide. I will be followed by Kathy. Any questions? I know that went very fast.
Good morning. I'm Kathy with the Environmental Division. I do outreach, sustainability outreach. Wanted to bring your attention to the fact that October is Energy Action Month. So once again, we're asking you to turn it down and turn it off. Make sure your thermostats are set, no space heaters in your space. If you're leaving work as it starts to get dark and you're passing that motor pool, the lights are blaring, but there's nobody working, give us a call. We've got an energy hotline. You can call it in and we'll get out there, take care of it, make sure we're not wasting energy. Our bill is pretty steep. Another thing I put on your tables is a little poster contest. JBLM elementary schools. We have a poster contest through next Friday. There's a lot of great prizes. Be sure and take that down to your units and let them know that that's going on. We've submitted all the flyers through all the schools, so there's going to be a little bit more attention brought to that. But we've had some great support from AFES and the commissaries, so thank you for that. Next slide, please. One of the programs we work on at Environmental is the Go Transit program, the Go Lewis McChord program. So it's not just transit shuttle, it's bike share and van pool. But the transit shuttle is very popular. It provides reliable installation transportation service. If you've had the opportunity to ride on that shuttle, I know you've probably had a good ride. It's nice and comfortable. They're very easy to talk to, and they'll help you figure out where you're going. We've had a really good year, once again, and the average monthly ridership is up for this year. It rises every year. So again, very popular program. Next slide, please. So when we ask you to go think about one of the words that come together, JBLM and traffic. Anybody you're talking to, they're going to be talking to you about traffic, and we just want to make sure you're aware that you can ride a van pool. Anytime you're carpooling, that counts. Sign up at piercetrips.com, and you'll get lots of good incentives to keep carpooling. But when you look at what happens when you take a bunch of cars off the road, put them in a van pool, you've got really good value there. You make more room on the road, but you also get a mass transit benefit program, so you get a $255 credit. Saves wear and tear on your vehicle, and for those dangerous driving conditions, leave the driving to somebody else. All right, next slide, please. Nope, that's it for me. Thank you. I think it's housing. Oh, got one more.
Good morning. My name is Beth Wilson. I'm the chief of the housing division. I wanted to remind all those folks that live on post at JBLM that our partner Lincoln, they provide monthly free different events that happen, and they want to inform you all so that you can come out and enjoy those. So next Friday, the 16th, they're going to have the 12th of October, they're going to have Hotel Transylvania 2 at the Cary Theater. They're going to provide popcorn and drinks and goodie bags to those that attend. And then on the 16th of October, the Spouses Mixer, they will have dinner for those that participate. They'll have the painting of the sugar skulls, and they do ask that everybody that's going to attend please RSVP so they can ensure that there's enough food and items for people to decorate. And then on November, they're going to have another Spouser Mixer, and they're going to have decorating coffee mugs and cookie making. And any dependent that's 16 and over, they're also welcome to attend the Spouser Mixers.
Good morning, Kelly Wetzel with MWR. We've got a couple of super big events coming up. The first one coming up is German Buffet. So if you have not had enough German food in the last couple of months, this is your last chance on base to get it. The German Buffet is this month in this room at the McChord Club on the 19th from 5:30 to 7:30. Please make a reservation. It's all you can eat German food. They've got sauerbraten, she'll have schnitzel, bratwurst, German potato salad, all the really good stuff that you missed from when you were overseas. So right here in this room, make a reservation. The other big event is the Face Your Fears, and we talked about it last time. Instead of just a typical zombie run, it's going to be everything that you're afraid of and more. So we're looking for monsters. If you would like to scare people while they're running, we can have you volunteer for that. If you would just like to run and be scared, we would love to have you out for that. So you've got a couple days still to register. They set the racetrack a couple days ago out in the logistics center, and it's gonna have some twists and turns in it. So that'll be a fun event. I've got a couple of things to add. First off, UFC 2 to 9 on Saturday. I looked up how much it costs for a pay-per-view. It's almost $100 for you to watch that fight at your house. You can watch it free here at the club or at the Warrior Zone. You can go to Sam Adams, and it's a $5 cover charge, and they've got food and everything there for you. So weigh the economics. If you've got some younger soldiers or airmen who are looking for someplace to watch this, they don't have to chip in with a dorm mate or a roommate to get the fight. They can come and watch it for free at locations on base. So that's Saturday. Doors open at 5 o'clock. Most places, the main event starts at 7. And then where it says job fairs, so we've got a couple of opportunities for you to get a second job if you want one, or if you've got family or friends who are looking for employment. The first one is with Child and Youth Services on the 23rd of October. Then we've also got one on the 10th of October working in our Business Operations Division, so that's food service. And then we added a third one, lifeguards, which is particularly good if you've got high school kids at home. You want looking for an after-school job. We have a lifeguard fair coming up on the 19th of October from 15:30 to 1800 at Soldiers Fieldhouse Pool. And then also I've got a flea market that we added, the fall flea market that because of weather for Oktoberfest, we just couldn't have folks outside selling their wares. So we've set a different date. It's October 27th. It's inside the MWR Fest tent. And so that's a great opportunity to pick up a few things that you may need around the house. Next slide, please. So things are getting packed on the calendar. Just some of the things that we've got coming up, and then I've got additions for it. The Winter Expo at the Northwest Adventure Center is a chance for you to figure out what you want to do this winter. Come and talk to the folks who run the ski areas. Check out the gear that we have for rent there. Look at some of the sleigh ride trips and snowmobiling trips and snowshoeing trips that we've already got on the calendar. So that's a fun example. The Turkey Trot is our next run after the Face Your Fears run, so you can go out and run with the turkeys. The Thanksgiving buffet, if you've got family coming in and you just cannot stand cooking another Thanksgiving meal, or you don't want your mother-in-law in the kitchen, there's always the Thanksgiving buffet here. Come here, we cook it all for you. It's just like Grandma used to make, and you can eat everything that you want and not have to worry about the calories that day. And then the Black Friday sale, the day after Thanksgiving at the Northwest Adventure Center. You can pick up a few of those things. We'll have some sale items, some of the used equipment that we tend to sell during that time of year. So you can pick up some Christmas presents maybe there. And then in December, the date has been moved for the holiday tree lighting. It is now the 3rd of December at Jensen Fitness Center. We have our own little Army-Navy game that we run on base. We invite the sailors from Bremerton to come over, and we have an Army-Navy football game here on base. Can't tell you how many times the Army has won, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's going to happen this year? Okay. So this year we're hosting it. It's every other year, so it'll be here at Cowan Stadium. Winterfest and Trees for Troops. Winterfest is a nice celebration that we have. We have it at American Lake Conference Center. It's in conjunction with Trees for Troops, and that's an opportunity for folks who may not be able to afford to get a Christmas tree. They can come in and FedEx sponsors this for us, and they send us trees. You can come and just pick up a tree. So that happens that same day. Breakfast with Santa here in the club, and then the Jingle Bell Jog. And then at the bottom, I wanted to give folks a heads up. Brewfest is back this year on the 8th of February. If you are a home brewer or you know somebody who is, this is a huge event on base. We have it here in the ballroom, and in fact, it fills up the entire club. You get to show off your home brew. So there's a competition, you win awards, we have trophies, and then Brewfest that night is a tasting event. So we have microbrews from off base come in, we have the home brewers from on base bring their wares, and it's a big sampling event. We usually have a live band, we have food. So put that on the calendar. If you're a home brewer, I know you got to get started in advance, so get your brews started now. And then a couple of things to add to that. We've added some trivia nights, both at the McChord Club and at Sam Adams Brew House. So if you want information about that, go to our website, and along with UFC 230, and that's on the 3rd of November. Are there any questions? Great. Go outside and have a good time. Don't forget about the rain. It's not that bad.
Hello, my name is Sergeant Lim. I'm the president of the BOSS team for this installation. So today we're going to talk about our community service and what we've done for the community. So BOSS assisted the Lake High School cross-country team. They're a big race that has over 95 schools participating in it. We also helped with the Washington State Soldiers Home. We escorted veterans who had a bit of a disability issue around the state fair. And then we also kicked off our haunted house, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. For our next upcoming 30 days, of course, our haunted house. And then a big thing is Building 9, which helps homeless, homeless and transitioning veterans. We're going to be helping them move from one facility to another, and they will require assistance with painting and moving. A big thing for our community service is definitely to help our single soldiers, our geobats, and even our married soldiers. Anyone is welcome to come help out, especially for big projects like Building 9. For what we're also helping suits for service members. We're going to be going down there and helping them organize all the suits that gets donated to them. And this is just a good thing to help the community and to give back to our veterans community. And it's also good for our soldiers and service members who do want their military medal. Next slide, please. So we have our recreation and life skills. We did horseback riding and splunking, which is cave exploration. They went down to the 8 caves. It was 2 miles of volcanic caves, and then the caves got smaller and smaller. All the equipment, the transportation was all free for our service members. And of course, our horseback riding, a lot of us probably never even seen a horse in real life, maybe. We were able to give them this opportunity to see new things, especially if you're new to the Army, new to the state. It's always awesome to be able to look at new things and not be in your room, be in your barracks, and be stuck there. We have hiking this coming week to the Rattlesnake Ridge. And then next slide, please. So our haunted house, as you can see, underneath this horrifying costume is Airman Lies. We do makeup and we do costuming. So all we need is our volunteers to show up and be ready to have fun and be ready to scare people. So we have our regular nights starting on the 18th from 7 to 9. And it goes to Friday, Saturday, and that'll be 7 to 10. And then we have our Not So Scary, which we also do in conjunction with Trunk or Treat. So our kids, they will be able to go through and meet the monsters and get candy from them and not be scared. And we also, maybe our people who are scared, they can go to that event so they can, enjoy the entire 30 minutes instead of screaming at the first part and then running away and never to be seen again. So we really do need volunteers for this event. Again, our geobats, our married couples are welcome. Even families, as long as they stay together, we can have our slasher films where, we have that murder family eating, I hope it's a body, but it could be ham, who knows. And we also provide food for our volunteers as well. We're not gonna leave you out hanging there, because I know if you get too hungry, our zombies might actually eat someone, and that'll be probably get in a little bit of trouble for that. And then we also do tear down as well, which would be after the event. And that is all. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Randy Brandt. I'm the Garrison chaplain, and we've got a couple of events coming up as well. October 31st, a very popular evening for our kids. We're going to have a Hallelujah night. That's basically our Harvest Fest. Our Grace Gospel congregation is hosting that. Going to be over at the MWR Fest tent, starting at 5:30. You can bring your kids over, and they can enjoy all the different activities. I'll have bouncy games, houses, cotton candy, all sorts of other candy to get them ready for the rest of the candy they're going to get later in the evening. So come on out and enjoy the fun with the kids there at that event. They asked that no scary costumes. This is probably for those that don't necessarily enjoy the haunted houses, so it might be a little more low-key event. Also, we've got the Thanksgiving event coming up for our single soldiers. Grace Gospel is also hosting that. They're providing a meal for single soldiers on the 22nd of November at 11:30. That's going to be over at the Lewis North Chapel. Just for your information, now our office, Religious Support Office, is going to be hosting a JBLM clergy symposium as well on the 28th of November. We're going to be inviting as many clergy as we can into our community so we can show them what we do and hopefully communicate with them how they can help support our service members as they go out into the community, whether they're retired or worshiping out in that community, how they can help our families and service members who experience so many unique things, from deployments to all the different places that we've served, things that we've seen and done and experienced in our life. So how they can help us, we're going to help prepare them and provide that for them. Also, just looking far ahead, candlelight service, that's around the corner as well in December, 24th on Christmas Eve. We'll be doing that at Lewis Main Chapel. Next slide, please. For Thanksgiving, we'll have a ecumenical worship service, just a short service, 11:30 at the Main Post Chapel on the 21st. Everybody's invited to that in preparation, giving thanks for all the great food you'll be eating a few days later. And for all the other information that we have, we do have a web page. Next slide. It's our Facebook page. If you'd like to go in there and friend us, and you'll be able to find the flyers for all the events that we've got, all the different contact folks, different service times and schedules as well. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Good morning. Mike Cruz from McChord Commissary. First off, we have, this year they're doing, the Matador is doing the 10-cent Ride to Recovery campaign. 10 cents might not seem a lot, but out of 247 commissaries, 10 cents adds up. So it's a good cause. Next slide. McChord Commissary will be holding their first warehouse sale on 11th, 12th, and 13th. Also, if you have kids, come by, costume or not costume. They'll be giving out candies for them, like pre-Halloween theme. Next slide. And as always, Lewis Main Commissary will be having their warehouse sidewalk sale. So just stop by and see what they got. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Sylvia with the Exchange. On this slide, you'll see some of our events going on this month. Just to highlight a few, McChord Main Exchange has the Fire Prevention Week from October 9th through the 12th from 10:30 to 13:30. On the 13th, we're celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month. On the 31st is a Kids Halloween Costume Contest. And on Lewis, starting tomorrow through the 7th, from 11 to 1400 is the Sony Roadshow. On the 12th is a Halloween fashion show. And on the 27th is Meet the Alexander London Manager event, where you'll get good savings on suits and jackets. Next slide. For the Columbus Day weekend, we have changed a few hours. As you can see on the slide, just to highlight, Lewis North Express and Liberty Express will remain 24 hours. McChord Main Exchange is open from 0900 to 1800 on Columbus Day, and Lewis Main Exchange is open from 0900 to 1900. And then from October 12th through the 25th for 2 weeks, if you open a new Military Star account, you will be able to save 15% on your first day's purchase. And our food courts still have the $2 off Wednesdays. Next slide. And yes, we are still hiring. Positions are posted regularly. If you go to applyMyExchange.com and search for Lewis or McChord, you'll see a variety of positions available. Any questions? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jamie Lynn with the Spouses Club. Really quick, I put out on most of the tables, I don't think I brought enough, but on most of the tables I put out a little flyer that tells you what the Spouses Club is and the things that we do for the community. We just have 2 events coming up for November. We have our holiday market. It's going to be at Lakes High School. We're hoping for about 150 vendors this year. Most of them are military spouse-owned businesses, so come get your Christmas shopping started. And then our November luncheon is going to be the 14th at American Lake.
So just a couple things real quick before we close this out. Sergeant Major Claiborne, the Garrison Command Sergeant Major. Just to pile on what Sergeant Lim said, talking about the haunted house. So typically I don't do a lot of speaking in here, but that's because I try to reserve my opportunities for when they really mean something. So the reason why this event is so important, yes, it's Halloween. Yes, we're going to have some soldiers and some family members out there volunteering at the haunted house. But what I really need is the support of the units to get this information out to all of the personnel in your units to get them to come out. It's our largest fundraising event for BOSS, for all of our single service members on the installation throughout the year. So this event will generate almost all the money that our single service members use for any trips or anything of that nature that they do throughout the rest of the year. So please have your families come out and support that event. And then the other thing BOSS related is this afternoon, right here in this facility, we're going to have our installation BOSS meeting. So Sergeant Majors, Commanders, you're obviously invited. Come on out, support the team, hear what they're talking about, hear what they're planning. We're glad to have you. Ma'am?
Okay, thanks everyone. So before I close this out, I do want to just pass off again and ask the Wing, 7th ID, and the Corps leadership if there's any closing comments that you want to cover. Oh, good, you have.
Just want to say thanks. This Joint Base continues to be the most sought after post for airmen and soldiers. And it's a beautiful setting, it's a wonderful post, but what makes this so special is you all and what we saw in here today. Everybody from the single soldiers and airmen to the community and the commands putting together to make this the best place possible. And so I just want to commend everybody here for doing that. It's tremendously appreciated and it's wonderful to see. Thanks.
Okay, so we're almost done. I have just a couple things I want to close out with. One, thankfully I have Sergeant Major Claiborne here with me because I had a point wrong on the 24/7 fitness. Right now, that's just for active duty service members. So we'll move into a second phase, but if you can help me with that communication piece. Right now, we're kind of crawling, so we're right now focused on just allowing that access to service members, and then we'll transition based on the success of how we're doing. So I just wanted to clarify that. I failed to bring the Army 10-miler team in here today, but I just want to wish them good luck, and I'm looking forward to bringing them back in here in November in front of all of you to celebrate their first place win. So really excited about that. I will be cheering them on in DC after I finish 2 hours after they do. So I just want to say thanks to all of our partners, installation partners that help us produce not just this meeting, but basically produce every day on the installation for all of you. Please don't forget to visit some of our tables there in the back, some of those partners. Thank you to the Red Cross for the refreshments. The school liaisons are here. I can tell you, I just attended a meeting yesterday up in Bremerton talking about military families in schools. Washington State is doing a ton of things for your families and your kids. And so my school liaisons there can talk to you a little bit, especially if you're having any challenges associated with transitioning into our community. Special thanks, of course, to all the unit leadership that's here. Thank you for that, especially to our spouses and our senior spouses. I really appreciate your support and your participation. I'll tell you kind of in closing, keep the feedback coming. I really appreciate it. And if there's something, if you all in this room ever wonder if I know something or whether I should know something, please tell me. And I will make sure that we get after it as a team. And the same goes down in your units. Please help me. I can't be everywhere on JBLM, but we are everywhere on JBLM. So please keep that feedback coming, and I remain committed to you guys and your families here on the installation. Lastly, remember the slides are out. We send the slides out. We post this video. I hate that this video is available in perpetuity, but they are out there. So for your unit, company level, flight level, squadron level meetings, please share those links. They can watch it if they can't be here. Because hopefully what you're going to leave here today is pretty motivated and fired up about fall. There's so many neat things coming, and please help us spread that word across the installation. So thanks.